Hello students, welcome to the chemistry lessons. This is our fourth video on the states of matter and hope you are fine and safe everyone. And today we'll learn about intramolecular forces. So our objective for today's lesson is we'll learn what is intramolecular forces, what's the difference between intramolecular and intermolecular forces. We'll see some examples on intramolecular forces and we'll verify these intramolecular forces with the help of our periodic table. So, let's zoom in.
There are two basic types of forces in the states of matter. The one is the intramolecular and another one is the intermolecular. So intramolecular are the forces that exist within a compound or within a molecule. Okay, and you can take an example like if this is the molecule, so whatever forces are existing within the molecule or the compound, we call it as intramolecular forces. And intermolecular forces are the forces that exist between the molecules. So if you take two molecules, for example, and whatever forces are exist between them, we call it as intermolecular. We have already learned about the intermolecular forces, whose examples include like London dispersion forces, hydrogen bond and dipole forces, and the link of the video is shared in the description below. If you want, you can have a look. So for example, just to give you an examples versus intramolecular forces. For example, these are the water molecules. So the forces or the force of attraction between two water molecules, we call it as intermolecular forces. Okay, and intramolecular forces is the force of attraction which exists between or within the molecule. Okay, within the molecule. So let's begin with the definition. The intramolecular forces are the forces that hold the atom together in a compound or a molecule. So for example, this is an NaCl molecule. So NaCl molecule consists of sodium atom and chlorine atom. So whatever force exists between the sodium atom and the chlorine atom, we call it as intramolecular forces. Okay, so there are basically four types of intramolecular forces. They are the ionic bonds, copolar covalent bonds, then non-polar covalent bonds, and the fourth one is the metallic bonds. We will learn mainly about the ionic bonds, polar covalent and non-polar covalent bonds within this video, but I will just briefly tell you what is metallic bonds. So before proceeding further, must understand the reason of the type of intramolecular forces, right? And the rule that is responsible for the type of intramolecular forces is the duet rule and the octet rule. We all know that all the atoms in the periodic table want to have an electronic configuration of a noble gas. The noble gas are the examples of the noble gas includes like the neon, krypton, xenon. So these are the last group, at the 18th group element, and all the atoms in the periodic table, whether from group 1 to group 17, they pretend or they like to have the electronic configuration of either 2 valence electrons or the 8 valence electrons. Just to remind you, valence electrons are the electrons which are present in the outermost shell of an atom. So, duet rule is limited to hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and boron. So these 5 elements follow the duet rule, who always want 2 valence electrons in their outermost shell, so that they can achieve the noble gas configuration of helium. So helium is a noble gas, and all the other elements want to be like the helium electronic configuration. Okay, so either they will lose the electrons from their outermost shell, or they will gain the electrons from the outermost shell, or they will try to share the electrons, but they always pretend or they will always like to have the electronic configuration of helium for these 5 elements. So hence The outermost shell is 2. So the name of the rule is duet rule. Now the octet rule, octet means 8. So octet rule, all the other atoms on the periodic table want 8 electrons so that they will achieve the noble gas configuration. So all the other elements except these 5 elements, they will try to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell, either through gain of electrons or through losing electrons or through sharing of electrons, any of the three. Okay. So noble gas elements are the cool kids of your class. So everyone wants to be like them. So you have to remember either through they will follow the duet rule or the octet rule. Now, if you see, this is the periodic table, and this periodic table there are various numbers written. For example, take this example, the mercury, Hg is mercury. So 80 is the atomic number, that is the number of protons or the number of electrons. And 200.59, this example, so whatever figure is written here, it is the mass, average mass. And this figure, you can see here 1.9, it is the electronegativity. So this is a basic thing, basic property, which is responsible for the type of bond that is formed. Okay, so electronegativity is a term that is the ability of an element or an atom that to attract electrons towards itself. So every atom, whatever atom you are seeing here, they have different tendency to attract electrons towards itself. Okay, and the higher the value, that means the attraction is more. And if you can see here, for hydrogen, it has the valence electron of 1. For this group, that is the beryllium, magnesium, calcium, and so on, the second group, they have this 2 valence electrons. Similarly, if you see for group number 13, it has 3 valence electrons. Group number 14 has 4. Group number 15 have 5. Group number 16 have 6 valence electrons. And group number 7 has 7 valence electrons. And if you see here that the last group, which is the noble gas group, the 18th group, they have the electronegativity almost 0. Okay, so have a look into these figures. Also importantly, you have looked at the electronegativity of fluorine is 4, which is maximum among all the elements. So fluorine have the highest electronegativity. That means it has the highest tendency to attract the electron towards itself. Fluorine doesn't want to give the electron to any other atoms. So it has the highest electronegativity. Similarly, if you see here, francium, it has the lowest electronegativity, it is 0.7. Cesium and Fr share the same electronegativity, it's 0.7, which is the lowest. Okay. Now let's proceed further. The types of the intramolecular forces. That means the first one is the ionic bond. Ionic bonds are formed when electrons are transferred between 2 atoms in a compound. So either it's gained or it's lost. So the electrons are transferred. You have to remember the key word as transferred. Most importantly, it's found between metal and a non-metal. So if the bond between a metal and a non-metal, it should be ionic bond. So for example, if you take a sodium atom and a chlorine atom, sodium atom, we know that it has 11 protons because atomic number is 11, right? And it has only 1 valence electron outside. So on the outermost electron shell, it has only 1 electron. On the other atom, the chlorine has 7 valence electrons. So 2, 2, 4, 2, 6, and 1, 7. Okay. So what will be the type? So sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. So type of bond that will be formed here will be ionic bond. Okay. Now we have to remember that if one is metal and the other atom is non-metal, then the type of bond will be ionic bond. So ionic bonds are formed when 1 or more valence electrons is transferred between the 2 atoms in a compound. Okay. So if you see here, the electron is completely transferred from sodium atom to chlorine atom. Chlorine has higher electronegativity. You can refer the periodic table just now discussed. So since it has higher electronegativity, it will take the electrons, and sodium will be happy to gain its octet. Chlorine is also happy to gain its octet. Octet means the outermost shell should have 8 electrons. So you can check the outermost shell, it has 8 electrons, and chlorine also have 8 electrons. So both are happy by transferring the electrons. And the type of bond formed is the ionic bond. The second type of intramolecular force is the polar covalent bond. So polar covalent bonds are formed when electrons are shared unequally between the two atoms in a compound or molecule. Key words to remember here are the shared unequally. Sharing of electrons means it's forming a covalent bonds. If the electrons are shared unequally, then it's forming a polar covalent bonds. But generally it happens with polar molecules, and it is found between the two non-metals. So whenever the bond is forming between metal and non-metal, just in the previous case we had seen, then it should be an ionic bond. But whenever the bonds are formed between a non-metal and non-metal, it can be either polar covalent or it can be a non-polar covalent. We'll see with examples. So just to revise the concepts of what are polar molecules, the polar molecules are the molecules where the electrons are not equally shared. And most importantly, it has two types of charges at two ends of the molecules, just like a battery. So, and they are hydrophilic in nature. Examples include just like the water molecule here. Water molecule is made up of oxygen, which is more electronegative than hydrogen. So hydrogen, and hence there is a slight positive charge generated near the hydrogen, and there is slight negative charge generated at the oxygen end, and hence there is a charge difference just like a battery, and hence it's a polar molecule. Okay, so and on the other hand, non-polar molecules just the opposite of polar molecules. Here electrons are equally shared, and hence there is a no charge difference. The charge is uniform over the molecule, and it is hydrophobic in nature. Examples include ethane, which is made up of 2 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms. So this is an example of non-polar molecule. And the main thing which is governing the type of intramolecular force is the electronegativity. Electronegativity is the tendency to attract electrons towards itself. So fluorine is maximum electronegativity. It doesn't want to give the electrons to any of the element. So it's the most electronegative atom. Similarly, you can see that oxygen is also electronegative. It can also form polar molecule if it's combined with hydrogen. Fluorine can also form a polar molecule if it's combined with hydrogen. And hydrogen is least electronegative in this example, and it is ready to give the electron whatever is present in its outermost shell. Okay, so these values are very important. If you know these values or know these numbers, then you can predict of intramolecular force that will be formed. So let's see an example of the polar covalent bond. Just as I told before, that covalent means it's sharing the electrons. So whether it will be a polar or non-polar, let's see here. Now let's see an example of hydrogen and chlorine atom. Hydrogen, it has only 1 electron in its outermost shell. On the other hand, chlorine atom has 7 electrons in its outermost shell. You can see there is 2, 2, 4, 2, 6 and 1, 7. And hence it will form this type of bond. That means that this electron will be shared. But this sharing is between 2 non-metal atoms. It is unlike the ionic bond, it is not completely transferred. And secondly, since it is shared, it is called covalent bond, right? Now, if you check the electronegativity of hydrogen is 2.1 and that of chlorine is 3.0. So we can check the electronegativity difference as the absolute value of 3.0 minus 2.1, which comes out to be 0.9. So this example, what can you conclude? That these electrons, though it is shared, but it is more inclined towards chlorine. hydrogen is sharing the electron, but it has less power over these two electrons. It is more inclined towards chlorine because of the higher electronegativity of chlorine. Okay. So here, as a result, there is a formation of difference of charges like delta plus and delta minus across the molecule, and hence it's becoming a polar molecule, and hence a bond formed this polar covalent bond. Now this is second example. Fluorine is also a very electronegative atom, so fluorine and hydrogen can form a polar covalent bond, and hence you can see there is a delta plus charge and delta minus charge across the molecule. The third type of intramolecular force is non-polar covalent bond. Non-polar covalent bonds are formed when electrons are shared equally between the two atoms in a compound or a molecule. It happens only with the non-polar molecules where there is a no charge difference. The electrons are absolutely equally shared. So, and it is same as before, the polar covalent bond, so formed between non-metal and a non-metal. Just to remind, if the bond is between non-metal and a metal, it is ionic bond. So this is just an example. You can see the hydrogen molecule, both is a non-metal, so hydrogen and hydrogen. These atoms, there is a no charge difference because both have the same electronegativity, right? And hence their bond formed is called as non-polar covalent bond. So the electrons are shared and both are happy. So this is another example where we take two chlorine atoms. So two chlorine atoms both have the outermost shell electrons as 7 each, and hence both are happy to share these two electrons. Okay, so these two electrons are shared, that means it's forming a covalent bond, and the electronegativity of chlorine is 3 each, and hence the difference becomes 0, and hence it becomes a non-polar covalent bond. Basically, the non-polar covalent bonds are formed when electrons are shared equally between the two molecules. So this is just an example where you can see that in the first case it's a hydrogen molecule and it has non-polar covalent bond. Why? Because both the hydrogen, that is hydrogen and hydrogen, they are non-metal first of all, and secondly the electronegative difference will be 0 as both are similar atoms, isn't it? So it will be the non-polar covalent bond. For the second case, if you see this one, it is similar to hydrogen and it is also non-polar covalent bond because the electronegative difference between the two atoms will be 0. The third one, which is a methane, that is CH4, if you see here that it is a non-metal, carbon is a non-metal and hydrogen is also a non-metal, and it also forms a non-polar covalent bond. The water molecule, on the other hand, it is a polar covalent bond. Why? Because the electronegative difference between oxygen and hydrogen is sufficiently to create the negative charge on oxygen and positive charge around hydrogen atoms. So this is just a synopsis of whatever we had studied. So in covalent bond means it's sharing of electrons, and if it's equal sharing of electrons, then it's non-polar covalent bond, and if it's unequal sharing of electrons, we call it as polar covalent bond. And if it's unequal, then it creates a charge difference, and hence we get a polar molecule. Okay. So for if the equal sharing of electrons, the electronegativity difference should lie between 0 to 0.4. The difference is from 0.5 to 1.6. Then we can say that it's polar covalent bond. This chart is very, very important, students. This you have to remember while calculating or predicting the type of bond that is formed. So if just now as I told that if the electronegative difference is between 0 and 0.4, then it is non-polar covalent bond and it is between two non-metal atoms. Similarly, bond is formed between two nonmetal atoms, but the electronegative difference is 0.5 to 1.6, then it is polar covalent bond. Okay, and etc. So these informations is very important while predicting whether an element or whether a compound have polar covalent bond or non-polar covalent bond or ionic bond. So if you see here, ionic means it should be the more than 2.1 and above, and it should have one metal and one non-metal. Now over to you. You have to think about the type of intermolecular forces of water, calcium oxide and fluorine molecule. I hope that you have understood this, and you can write these in the comment section. And as an example, I can help you understand. For example, this one is magnesium chloride, MgCl2, and this will be ionic bond. Why? Because the magnesium is metal and chlorine is a non-metal, and hence if the bond formed between a metal and a non-metal is ionic in nature. Similarly, the CH bond. So if you see, the C has an electronegativity of 2.5, whereas that of hydrogen is 2.1. Hence, the electronegative difference is 0.4. Hence, we can say that it is a non-polar covalent bond. So, please do not forget to write your answers of first three questions in the comment section. You can refer to this periodic table for seeing or for verifying or referring the electronegative values of the elements. Now this one is also very important, students. This is the properties that we are comparing for ionic versus covalent bond. So we know that whenever the electrons is transferred from metal to non-metal, it's called ionic. On the other hand, if the electrons are shared between the non-metals, we call it as covalent bond. So the melting point is always higher for ionic compounds compared to the covalent compounds. And the ionic compounds are soluble in water, whereas covalents are usually not. Ionic compounds are very good conductor of electricity, and they also form the lattice structures and crystalline solids, just like sodium chloride. So sodium chloride is an ionic molecule, and it has a crystal lattice structure of ions. Okay, so this table you can refer for future use. This is the fourth type of intramolecular forces, and we call it as metallic bond. Metallic are the bonds formed, or the forces that is between the atoms in a pure metal or a metal alloy. We know that a metal is formed when there is a presence of free electrons within it. So I've taken an example of aluminium, which is a metal. And for example, the electronic configuration of aluminium is 2, 8 and 3. So it has a valence electron of 3. So 3 of the electrons are very unstable, right, for aluminium, and they tend to form aluminium ion, which is Al3+, and they want to just get rid of these 3 electrons because they want to get the noble gas configuration. Nearest noble gas configuration of aluminium is neon. So it wants to get the electronic configuration of neon, and hence these 3 electrons are free electrons. And whenever all the aluminium atoms are combined in a metal sheet, so imagine a metal sheet of aluminium, so the free electrons are in between the aluminium ions. So there is a free, due to these free electrons only, the metals are very good conductor of electricity.
So students, we have come to an end of our today's lesson. I hope that you have understood what are the various types of intramolecular forces and how can you predict the type of intramolecular forces by looking into the compound. Don't forget to write your answers in the comment section. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching.